am Jen, and I am so excited that you stopped by at Just Jen. I do not believe that it is by accident or chance that you are here. I do believe that you are meant to hear this message today. If you want to start living a life of positivity and become motivated and inspired about your life, learn little parenting tricks and hacks with cooking, and I even throw in a little business and work from home tips from time to time, then you are definitely in the right place. Start right now by hitting subscribe so that you don't miss what's going on. This is the first part of a two-part series that I put together about the giants that we face in our life. One, the characteristics of giants, and how do you know if something fits into that category, if it's truly a giant in your life, or are we calling something a giant in our life? Are we giving too much of our time and too much of our energy to something that's not really a giant? And three, what are these giants? Call them out by name, because after this is done, I promise you, you're not going to be afraid anymore. You're going to stand tall, hold your head up high, and face these things, and you're going to be able to defeat them. Let's get started. I'm Jen Cole, and I approve this message. So, when you think of giants, I want you to think of, one, I want you to think of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk that was written by Benjamin Tabbitt. It was actually not even written for children at first. It was a series of short stories about things like that for adults. Two, I want you to think about the movie called Jack the Giant Slayer that came out in 2013 that was produced by Bryan Singer and co-written by Darren Lemke and Christian O'Hari. I probably mispronounced it. And of course, we wouldn't be able to talk about giants if we didn't talk about David and Goliath from the first book of Samuel in the Bible. So I want you to picture those type of giants. I want you to picture those giants that are harsh, powerful, overwhelming, and forceful. That's what I want you to think about. Those things in your life that fit into the category of giants, that's what they're going to be. The characteristics of a giant, if it's really considered a giant and so big that's hard for you to battle, it's going to be all-consuming. When I looked up the definitions, anybody that's watched a couple of my videos, for those that have been here before, you know that I'm all about looking up definitions and historical facts and things like that. The definition of a giant means very great size, force, monumental, towering, unusually large, or powerful. Does that sound like any of the issues that you all are dealing with? Unusually forceful, unusually large, towering over you. These are the characteristics that I've put into play that I think meet most of the problems that people face on a day-to-day basis. One, it will overshadow you. It's all that you can see. It's all you can hear. It's loud. When there's a giant in front of you, you will know that it's there. It gets your attention. It controls you. It moves you around in a way that you don't want to be moved around. A puppet on a string. It's harsh, it's hard, and it's rough. And it's meant for battle. A giant, in this sense, does not show up to be your friend. A giant doesn't show up to coddle you, hold you. It shows up for battle. So these things that you're facing, you're meant to face them. The story of Jack and the Beanstalk. He had to fight the giant to take the harp back home. In the movie Jack the Giant Slayer, it's the sequel from Jack and the Beanstalk, to where he goes back up there and finds out that there's a whole nother world of giants, and it's not just the giant that his great whoever killed, that there's a whole world of giants. Some of you are facing armies of giants in your life because they show up and they bring their friends. Anger. causes you to move in a way that you would not want to move, that you're not proud of. A puppet on a string. It consumes you and it's loud. You hit walls, you throw things, you break things, you scream. It gets not only your attention, but the attention of others around you. And may I remind you that anger is a secondary emotion. So whatever it is, that feeling that you felt right before you got mad, that's the emotion that you need to deal with. That's the true giant. Anger just came along for the ride, because that's easier to be angry. They're not going to hurt me anymore because I'm going to stay mad. And anger brings resentment. Anger brings bitterness. So now you're battling the first giant, which is hurt, disappointment. When we get let down, then we get angry. We get hurt, we get cheated on, we get lied to, and then we get angry. We become angry, and then we become bitter, and then we become resentful, and we're battling in a whole entire army of things that we don't even know where to start. Depression. Depression will overshadow you and block out the sun. I'm only 5'2", so all I have to do is stand in a certain way, and whoever's by me blocks the sun. This giant that you're facing, this depression that you're facing, blocks out the light, and you can't see right past where you are. You can't see anything but the problem. You can't see anything but the way that you feel. And depression brings loneliness. It is also loud, and it also consumes us. It meets those characteristics of these giants. It gets your attention. It consumes us and engulfs us like a flame. Much so like anger. It just seems to be on two separate ends of the scale. But they're not that different. And this last one that I'm sure most of us have faced is fear. Fear gets your attention, it takes your breath away, and it will crush you. It will make you feel as if you are so inadequate, so worried, so unworthy that you just freeze. You freeze up because of fear. And fear is loud. It gets our attention. It consumes us. It overpowers us. And fear brings anxiety, because fear and anxiety are not the same. We can be afraid, but not worried. When we feel anxiety, we are anxious. I'm afraid to touch fire, but I'm not anxious if there's a fire because I know I'm not going to touch it. But I'm afraid of fire. And fear brings anxiety, loneliness, regret. We're afraid of what people are going to say about us. We're afraid of what other people think about us. We're afraid that we're going to fail. And there's different types of giants that we face. We face physical giants. We face mental, emotional, and spiritual. And some go all across the board. Physical giants are medical conditions we cannot do anything about. I wake up with lupus. That is a physical giant for me. We face mental giants such as memories, regrets, mistakes, bad choices, thoughts, memories that just overpower us and crush us and paralyze us. Emotional giants are fear, worry, insecurity, doubt, hurt, sadness. And it goes like this. When we're battling one giant, we're battling depression, and depression brings with it sadness, loneliness, and hurt. When we're battling fear, we have the feeling of being afraid. We're hesitant not to trust God because we might fail again. When we feel shame, not guilt because we knew better, not guilt because we knew it wasn't right and we don't want to go back to the person we were, but when we feel shame, then we take on the feelings and the emotions of shamefulness And then we start feeling unforgiven, that we're too far from grace and too far from God to be touched. So now we're battling armies of these giants. You don't have to feel brave to be brave. Let me say that louder for those in the back. You don't have to feel brave to be brave. And some of us are fighting the wrong giants with the wrong tools, with the wrong weapons. In the Bible of David and Goliath, he wasn't even there to fight. He was there to take food back and forth from his father to his brother. The older brothers were considered qualified. The older brothers were considered equipped and adequate enough to battle this giant. He wasn't considered by those around him to be qualified. There are those in your life that are counting you out before you even line up for battle. They wanted him to wear armor he didn't want to wear, and he did not. They wanted him to take a sword into battle, but he took stones. He took 5. Some of us are trying to fight spiritual giants physically. And some of us are trying to fight physical battles emotionally. We win physical battles mentally by what we tell ourselves. If you watch the video I did about perception and perspective, you know that what we tell ourselves, that's the feelings that we have, because it associates first with the thinking. So we think, and then we feel, and then we act. So we're going into battle, a physical giant, and we're trying to fight it with the way we feel. We don't feel brave all the time. We don't feel qualified all the time. It doesn't matter what we feel. It matters what we think. David did not go into battle with the physical armor and the physical weapons that they thought that he needed. Because of your past, there will be those that count you out of the battle. And it wasn't his family that won that fight, it was him. There are those in your family that are waiting for somebody to rise up and be a fighter. They are waiting for somebody to rise up and be that giant slayer, to say, nobody else is going to die from alcoholism in my family. Nobody else is going to commit suicide in my family. Nobody else is going to go through this. I'm slaying those giants, not just for me, but for my kids and for their kids and for my family. And you're not going to do it the way that everybody thinks you should do it. You're not going to do it the way that everybody tells you should do it, because you're not fighting battles the same way everybody else is fought. Because you've been through things that they have not. You have faced things that they have not. Some of you all I know on a very personal level, and I know that the giants that you have faced in the past, and you fought them, and you got away from them, but yet now they show up again, and they keep calling your name. As Goliath did David, he taunted them. And these giants stand there and they taunt you, and you get paralyzed with fear, and you're scared to fight. You're afraid of what's going to happen if you step out and try to fight and try to win and try to do something different. You know, when we talk about thinking and what we tell ourselves and the way we feel, I want to add temptation as a giant too, along with addiction. Not just addiction from drugs and alcohol. We all know that's all consuming. Those that battle with it and those that cannot drink here or there. We know that that's all consuming. We know that that takes over your life. We know that paralyzes you with fear. We know that's all consuming. We know that that makes you move like a puppet on a string. But what about things like lust? to where you're operating on fear that the right person won't come along, so you'll settle for the right now person, and you'll let them treat you in a way that you don't want to be treated just so you're not alone. Gambling, the thrill moves you, and you've got to spend that money because what if this is the time I win? And you're not. And when we think about what if, we're focusing on that, we're not seeing what is. We are spending our paycheck on the chance that we might hit it big. So then we think old ways. So then we feel old feelings. So then we act old actions, and then we have old regrets. And because we have those old regrets, it's a circle all over again. And we move right back around to thinking and acting and doing the same old things and giving up before we're even walking into battle, or we walk away from the battle feeling defeated and like we're a loser and that we've lost. When really we haven't even given ourselves a chance to fight these giants because we didn't go into battle with the right armor and the right weapons to start with. When David fought Goliath, the army was set up. The camp was set up. And the giant would call them out and call them out. The family was too afraid to go. But David had a bigger belief. He had a belief in a power greater than himself. But not only in himself, but he had a belief in a power that was greater than the person that stood before him. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Bigger is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So we're not going to worry about the size of these giants anymore. We're not going to worry about the taunting of these giants anymore. We're not going to worry about the past battles anymore, because today is a new day, and today is the day that you're going to start fighting these giants, and you're going to not just wait for them to call you out, but you're going to walk into battle and you're going to start calling them out by their name, because you're going to start defeating them today. You're going to say, anger, no more. I'm not going to be a hothead anymore and lose my temper and punch walls and scream and scare the kids. Depression, I'm not laying in the bed anymore and feeling sorry for myself and worrying about everything. Fear, you no longer own me. I'm no longer a slave to these things. Addiction, you have kicked my butt for a long time now, but no more. Today, I call you out, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to fight you and beat you, because I'm not going to fight these with the wrong weapons anymore. People are going to think that you're not smart enough, strong enough before you go into battle, like I said. Just like they did. Just like they did in that movie, Jack and the Giant Slayer. He was the last person that everybody thought was qualified, but it is because of your battles from the past, that is what makes you qualified to face these giants now. You know, temptations and triggers can be a giant all on themselves. But here's the secret. If we get in check the internal triggers that we think about, then those external triggers lose their power and they become smaller. An exit that you used to drive to go to the dope boy's house, when you start saying, thank God I'm not that person anymore, you can drive past that exit and you've used gratitude now. So it doesn't hold the power over you anymore. The outside triggers are only triggers that only hold power and only are giants in our life because of the memory, the thoughts that brings on the emotions, how we feel about those things that we associate with. Because one time we lost those battles because in the past we weren't prepared. And now you're becoming prepared because you're speaking those things into your life. You may have lost lost before, but I'm not losing now. If you've enjoyed any of this, if you got anything out of it, please hit subscribe, share. I will be back soon with the part 2 of continuing to call these giants out and how you really defeat them, and what weapons do you need to walk into battle so that you're not defeated. I care a great deal about each and every one of you, and I hope that you each start becoming the dragon slayer. The giant slayers. I have seen a picture of a dragon. If you want to become the giant slayers that you are meant to be, then I want you to come back for the next video and find out what weapons that we truly need. I believe that there is a giant slayer in each and every one of us. I care about you guys greatly. Please subscribe to my channel. Anything that we do, we want to be successful. YouTube is no exception. I want my channel to grow, and I want to get this message out there above anything else. Thanks, and thanks for the click. And I am Jen Cole, and I do approve this message.